Hi, you guys. Welcome to the Sunshine It's Your Time podcast. In today's first episode, to launch the show off, I tried to accumulate my life. 28 years of different lives that I've lived and people that I've been and lessons I've learned along the journey that have ultimately led me here to a point where I just feel like it's time to share. Time to share about my journey and the heartache, the funny things along the way. I'm hoping that you can feel comfortable here to just be vulnerable, connect heart to heart. So pull up a chair, pull up a basket of laundry, whatever you have to do, and come get ready to spill wide open with me as we start this journey together. Hi there, you guys. I am Tiffany Jensen, and today is my first day starting up a podcast. And it sounds crazy saying that for me because this feels like something so much more than a podcast. A podcast feels like a little thing, and you just come in and you sit down and you have a conversation. And while it is a podcast and it's just a simple thing, I also feel like it is trying to put into words the accumulation of my entire life and all the experiences that I have had that have led me here and gotten me where I am and built the character that I have and the confidence that I have. And it's just a little bit daunting to try to figure out where to start in that journey. So with that being said, I am just starting this for the first time. We might be winging it. I'm really excited for whatever journey lies ahead, but I want to basically tell you how I got here and what pushed me to start this up. For as long as I can remember, I have loved to share. I've loved to speak, and I feel like that's kind of the modality that has always been really natural for me, is just these real life, like heart-to-heart conversations. And social media has been interesting for me over the years as things have changed. It started off with, back in the day, I was talking to girlfriends the other day, MSN Messenger and MySpace. And then we finally moved over to Facebook. And Facebook, the things that were posted back in the day, as it was starting up in the early 2000s, it was just pure nonsense. It was a dumping ground for pure nonsense. And now Facebook is kind of this dying thing, and Instagram has taken over. And my relationship with each one has been so interesting over the years because while it serves a purpose, I have never felt this it factor, like that is my jam, until I've found podcasting. And for years and years, I have loved being this consumer of podcasts. I have these favorite shows that I go to and I listen and I choose all this inspiration and these different great ideas from. But I have felt really driven to have my own show where I can be a producer. I'm in this stage of life where I'm done consuming. I am ready to share. I'm ready to produce and have something to offer to other people around me. So, for about as long as I can remember, about 6 years at least, I have really wanted to start my own podcast show. And it's funny, when I first got married to my husband, I had told him over and over again, I just feel so called to share, to speak, to write, all of these things. And he's been so supportive, like along the journey for years and years. And a few months ago, we finally found this office space in our area. We live close to Boise, Idaho, and we finally found this office space, and I found this production team. And I sat down with the owner of the company, Roberto, and started talking to him about all the different production things that they offer for podcasting. And like, I felt this huge wave of relief that finally I could find some people to help me with the logistics that had felt daunting or intimidating for years and years. Every time I would get motivated, like I'm ready to speak and share, there was this little voice in my head of like, yes, but the logistics are way too intimidating. You're going to have to learn so much about the behind the scenes and production and editing and streaming. And I just always talked myself out of it. until a couple of months ago when I learned I could have the guesswork taken out. So here we are. I, first of all, feel very grateful, I guess is the right word, that you are here stepping into this space because your time is so valuable. Our time here is really what our life consists of. That's all we have is our time and the way that we spend it and who we spend it with. So truly, I feel privileged to have some of your time. And I guess it's so hard to know where to start. But I guess I want to start by reflecting on a recent experience that I had. And I'll give you some context so that this can come together to share with you kind of the purpose of what I hope to offer during our time together while you listen or watch my show. So December of 2021, I had my last baby. Her name is Madden. She's an angel. And gosh, it's like, where do I even start? After having my last baby, I felt this huge rush of like, Tiff, it's time to come back to life. It's just time. Because for the last 6 years, I married my now husband, Casey, 6 years ago. We have had children back to back to back. And I'll get more into our story and share a little bit more about us over time. But I am raising right now 6 kids, ages 9 and under. We've got some special needs children within our home. We've got lots of infants and babies, and we're a blended family. So I've had 3 babies of my own with my husband, Casey. When we got married, he had 3 kids of his own from a previous marriage. And I feel like I have just poured my heart into motherhood and stepmotherhood and our family and our blended family for the last 6 years, just without even thinking about it. It's been everything that I live and eat and breathe and sleep. And as soon as you lay down to sleep, then some kid is up with a tummy ache or forgetting their favorite stuffed animal and you have to run back up. And I've just not really clocked out of this type of work for 6 years. Until after having my last baby, Madden, I was just hit with this undeniable rush again, like I said, of it is your time. It is your time. And ultimately, I want to take you guys along on the journey as I feel like it is my time to kind of come back to life. Of course, my current life, motherhood, stepmotherhood, blended family, everything is so important and such a priority to me. But with that being said, I'm just kind of shifting into right now, I am also so important to me. The things that make me me, the things that recharge me, the gifts that I have to offer, the relationships that are important in my life. It's just kind of, I feel like I took off the tunnel vision, blinders that I've been wearing for so long, where all I was focusing on was family. And now it's like, yes, but what about me? It's my time. And it's your time. And that's why I feel so excited to have you on this journey, because I truly feel like I have lived so many different lives. And the more you sit here and the more you listen and the more we can chit chat, I feel like the more apparent it will be the many different lives that I've had. Just as a 28-year-old, I feel like I've been 10 different people. I feel like I've been in a million different environments that have helped me grow and turn into the person that I am here sitting with you now. And life has this funny way of just doing that. I feel like as soon as you get into this flow and you're comfortable and you're living your life, something flips and you're upside down and you're drowning and you have to reset back at square one. And that's kind of what it felt like for me having my last baby. It was like, okay, this is another reset. And the cool thing about this one is I feel like I am bringing 10 other versions of me that have had to go through really painful resets before, or complete identity crises, or really heartbreaking resets. And this time I'm just excited. I'm just excited because I've put in the work. I've put in the sweat equity and the pain, and so much of the work that healing and learning and growth requires. And this time I feel like I'm just here to share the experiences, kind of like a love letter to my younger self. If I was 20 years old again, if I was 15 years old again, like what would I tell her, younger Tiff? And any of the girls who are going through such transformative years from 15 to 25, like that decade is just priceless and excruciating. And every woman, it's a rite of passage. You have to go through it. And I've always been a woman who loves people by the masses. I am a people person. I love people. And I've had dozens and dozens of best friends and soulmates and all these people throughout my life that have, been more active in my journey for a time, and then things kind of fade out, but we can pick right back up. And the more I live my life, the more I realize I really have this gift of connecting heart to heart, specifically with women. And the more women I talk to, like in my current day-to-day life right now, in my city, I've got like 10 really good girlfriends, and we get together all the time and we chit chat and we do girls' nights out, or we celebrate each other's birthdays or baby showers. And the more I talk to women, the more I've just like realized this pattern that those 10 years of 15 to 25 or even beyond, they are so predictably transformative, and you never know what direction those years are going to take you. Like nobody can tell you that, but I do know that those years require a lot of like soul searching, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, learning what to hold on to, and learning when to let go, learning how to put up boundaries, and also kind of the unspoken part of boundaries that I feel like some people forget is once these boundaries have served a purpose, when do you take them down? Where do you like let yourself be susceptible again to life and people and relationships? And if I can share something that could expedite the process for women, those years are vital, but it doesn't stop. Like now that I'm 28 and I'm getting closer to my 30s, I am realizing that maybe this work is just never ending. And maybe that decade is kind of a prerequisite and a rite of passage into womanhood for like level 2.0 of being a woman or a wife or a mother or a friend or a sister, whatever, these roles that women wear. At some point, we have to level up. And there's like no rhyme or reason to it. I feel like some people, they will go through 10 different level up experiences where they have to show up as a different, smarter, better version of themselves. And other people, I don't know, they get off easy. Like they have to grow and change and shift a little bit. But for me, my life has been this never ending shift and like diving into self-discovery. And just when I think I figure out who I am, who I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be like working towards, something resets and I get to start all over. And I've learned to look at that as a blessing. And not only as a blessing, but also like a really cool opportunity for me to connect to endless amounts of people as they go through their own like awakenings and transformations and chapters of growth and heartache and becoming. Like this is what makes us human, right? So thank you for being here to experience my humanness. And on this show and wherever you find me, I feel like something I've really come to value in my life is a gift that I would love to offer to you, and a gift that I would hope I could also receive from you, being a person entering into my space and my circle by being here or finding me on social media or being a part of my day-to-day life. And the gift is this. I think it's so easy in our lives to like have a person that we love and get used to who they are and what they have to offer and what they're all about and their values and their behavior and their belief system and the things that you do together, the things that you have in common. And I've just learned I have so many different circles in my life. Like I grew up in Orem, Utah, Mormonville of the whole world. And a lot of people that I love. They are there and they knew me when I was there. And then I moved away when I was 18. But for a lot of people that I love and still have in my circles now, I would love to also be able to break out of the box, whatever box they have held me in, like little Tiff from infancy to being 18, living in Orem, Utah, who I was, the experiences we shared back then. It's such a blessing in a relationship where, yes, you can have that as a foundation, but additionally, you can build on it and say, like, the person, the woman that she is now, or the person that I am now, and how do we reconnect in a different time in our lives with different life experiences that we have had that have deepened us as people, and like letting other people grow, I think is a huge way that we show love to them. And again, like, I've had so many different compartments of people and friends and loved ones from different chapters and different ages and stages and hobbies and environments that I've been in over my life. And I would just love for you and for me to both be able to show up here, wherever, however we are connecting now and sharing things heart to heart, like giving each other the grace that you are who you are, sitting here in front of me or on the other side of however you have found me. Maybe you're different than a different life or a different time when I knew you last. And I would love to invite people to go on the journey with me, giving me the grace that a podcast, a show, it can be daunting because in essence, it's capturing me here and now. And only being 10 minutes in, I can tell you, I am not done changing. I am not done growing. I'm not done learning. And when we listen back in a year, I will have been miles and miles down a different journey with different beliefs and different relationships and priorities in my life. And I think that's what this show is all about, is like, you're at a certain place in your journey, just like me. And I think we get these little messages from like this inner sense of knowing, or your conscience, or your intuition, like whatever we might call it. For me, I love in the last few years claiming it as like this knowing. There's just this deep knowing in me. My knowing every now and then will just nudge me with this like undeniable message of this is the thing you're supposed to be pursuing right now, or this is the person you're supposed to be reaching out to. And lately, my knowing has just said, it's time to share. It's time to share more of like my heart, my being, my beliefs, my journey, the things that I've gone through, the things I've experienced, because there are other people out there in their journeys ready and like eager for something that I have to offer from my own experience. And same for you. Like maybe in your journey, you just are having these nudges. It's time for me to do this thing. It's time for me to write this letter. It's time for me to quit this job. Like I can't tell you what your knowing is telling you. But all I know is that this knowing is not by mistake. It's not random. Like there are these little seeds along our journey that if we're listening, if we can get in tune with understanding about ourselves, the way that this knowing or intuition or whatever it may be contacts you, when we follow it bravely, despite everything telling me I could share here, I could share from my heart, I could be vulnerable, I could open up about life experiences that I've never had this like platform able to even like start to grasp, because Facebook is dying and Instagram captions, they try to limit me to this rule that I just, no matter how hard I try, I can't abide by. Like, Tiff, put your whole heart into 200 characters. I'm like, every time Instagram caption too long. Like, if you are a sharer, if you are a speaker, you know how difficult it is to try to find the place to share the messages that you know you're supposed to share. And that's the struggle I've been up against for years and years and years, is like, I want so much more than just these curated little moments or these blips in time where we show like the pretty, shiny, beautiful, functional things happening in our life through a Facebook post or matching family outfits or whatever it may be. Like, my knowing has just said, enough of my own bullshit, enough of modern day bullshit. Like, there has to be defenders of like heart to heart connection and vulnerability and sharing. And I do feel like that's one of my purposes here, is being a defender of like, I know we live in this modern day society where it's just instant gratification and swipe and scroll and like and double tap, but like, what about this? So to give you some context, like I said, I had my last baby and my knowing just said, it is time to come back to life. Like, it is time to divide how I'm putting all of my eggs in one basket with motherhood and pouring and giving and loving and sharing and nurturing. What else? There's more. Like, there is more to what I'm supposed to be doing. And there are more people I'm supposed to be reaching and connecting. And in order to connect with them, I've got to share more than the ways that I've just always been subtly sharing, in a way that feels just like half the story to me. I'll share things of my heart on Instagram, but then I'm like, but if I could just sit down and have this conversation with you and truly paint the picture, it's always so much more. There's so much more to this life experience. And after having Madden, I decided to plan this girls' trip. I invited like a dozen of girlfriends, women that I really wanted to like create a deeper connection with. And we went to one of my favorite places in the world in Hawaii. We own a beach house there, and we opened up the beach house to this group of incredible, beautiful women. And we spent the whole week just having adventures and playing and laughing. It was like this grown woman, never-ending adult sleepover party, and playing games and going out to dinners and beautiful lookout points and doing yoga in the backyard. There was this one really, really impactful day of that experience. The entire week, I actually feel like was a huge part of what has snowballed this journey for me, where I've gotten to the point of being like, I'm just ready to share and connect. But one day we had all been like playing at the beach, and I think we came home ready to just make some snacks and go hang out. We were just ready to kind of like rest and be still after so much go. And we created like little platters of food, like fresh pineapple and chips and salsa and Sour Patch straws, like some garbage and chocolate and stuff too. And we all went into the backyard and laid down like towels and blankets. And it was this beautiful sunny day. The ocean is like 200 feet away from us, so we're all hearing the ocean waves. And all of us just kind of like naturally laid down on our bellies in this circle. Some of us were sitting up, some of us were laying down. And we sat there just chatting for like hours about just all things womanhood and life and motherhood and being married and trying to be a person and bodies and just everything that like women can sit and talk about for hours. My husband's always so mind blown. Like, how do you guys do that? How do you just talk? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, me especially, I'll just talk and talk and talk. But we sat there just munching on our chips and salsa or guacamole or whatever it was. And at some point, you know, the sun came out really bright and we're like, perfect, it's a 2-in-1. We get to talk and get a suntan. And we all just laid down and like unclasped our bathing suits of, we don't want the crazy tan lines. And everybody's just laying there. It's just like total girl time. And I was just in the zone. Well, one of my childhood, like teenage childhood best friends, she was on the trip with me, and I think she ran inside to like grab a drink of water or something. She came out, and for whatever reason, she was just being cute, capturing like this candid moment of all of us just like laying there in a circle. And she started videotaping me just sitting there. And I'm always like animated. I'm talking with my hands, and I don't even know what I'm like spouting off, but I'm going off on like some tangent for like 20 minutes, talking to all my girlfriends and just enjoying the sun and the chips and salsa. And we had the most amazing afternoon, and that's the end of the story. And later, my friend, she shared all these videos and pictures with me, and she just said, look at you. Like, you are just in your element. Because of you, like, you have gathered this circle of women, and we started the week off feeling like strangers, and we are leaving feeling like sisters. Like, we all became family on this trip. And just the closeness and the intimacy and the vulnerability of like, not only like emotionally half naked, but physically half naked, and just sitting there chatting and sharing from our heart. And she just said, look at you, like you are leading this. And she said, this is your calling in life. Like, this is what you do. This is who you have always been. And it's like, part of me feels emotionally proud. Like, I know these are my gifts. And I've worked really hard to refine them throughout my life. And then the other part of me feels completely naive. Like, what do you mean that that's not everyone's gift? That we don't just like sit and share and lead and bring women in and be vulnerable and connect heart to heart? The more I've gone throughout my life, the more people have told me, when you share, when you open up, like your vulnerability, the way that you gather people, specifically women, there is this magic that happens. And it's been hard for me over the years to take ownership of whatever this magic is, because I'm not trying to create this magic. I'm not trying to flaunt this magic. I'm not trying to like share, like, it's just been this natural gift that I feel like has refined over the years. And so the point of this show is, there is something in your life, just like there's something in my life, that like your knowing is telling you it's time to stop being a consumer. It's time to stop living a life that's not working for you. It's time to stop allowing toxic relationships in your life. Like, whatever it might be, it's time. You undeniably have this gut feeling like it's time. And I would love to be the voice, like the little person on your shoulder that helps propel you forward, while you have like this devil on your other shoulder telling you, but like, I'm scared, or what happens if I speak my truth? There's repercussions of that. Like, there can be consequences of speaking your truth, sharing your story. Like, there can be repercussions from quitting a job that you hate, or you feel like you're ready to close some chapters on that. There can be repercussions or contention if you feel like you're ready to have a baby in your life and your partner might not be on the same page and you really have to fight for this. Like, in some relatable way, we are all connected with these same feelings. And I know there is something in your life that you just need a little bit of propelling. Like, I want to be that voice for you. That despite the fears, despite what has kept you small, what has kept you quiet and silent, just like me. For me, it's been my kids. It's been my family. Like, I'm just pouring so much into them. When I get around to it, like, maybe I'll share. Maybe I'll help connect other women. Maybe I will do retreats or events, or it's just undeniable that whatever is ready to keep me small, I just cut the crap. Like, it's just time. So for you, there's this radiant being, this sunlight, this sunshine, this goodness, this brightness, this higher self within you. And it's been developing, just like me, over your entire life. And it's strong. And it has a sense of knowing, like, that's kind of out of this world. Like, it's wiser, it's smarter, it's led, it's driven, it's motivated. And then we get into like all of these shallow real life problems here of, well, what are people going to think of me? Or I don't know if I'm adequate or competent enough to like pursue this. We get in our own way. But like, it's just time to let this higher self, this smarter, wiser version of you lead your life. And it takes bravery to do that. So I would love to take you by the hand as you step into that journey, because you have to be brave to step into that journey. And it's not easy. And the voices don't always silence. Like the stupid little devil on your shoulder that tells you you don't know enough, you're not ready. It might always be there, but like, let's do it anyways. Let's start the thing. Let's quit the job. Let's have the baby. Let's have the conversations. Let's speak your truth, whatever it may be. For me, it is sharing about my own journey of self-discovery that I've been on my entire life. And the person or the people that I have had to be and become along the way, I've also had to shed a lot of my own being. Things that I used to be, belief systems that I used to have, relationships that I used to keep close. The journey of like your new life costs you your old one, right? We've all heard that. And it's true. But what's on the other side when you pursue the things that you know you're supposed to be doing is so undeniably worth it. So, buckle up. This will be a place of very open, transparent, vulnerable sharing, heart-to-heart connection. I don't know how to do anything else. And like I've said, people have told me it's not normal. For me, this is normal. Let's just like sit here. Let's cry. Let's pull up the chips and salsa. Let's sit in a circle. Let's connect. Let's hold hands. Like, life is hard, and you need other like-minded people in your corner who can, be with you on the journey. So if you are a person who wants to more bravely pursue the things that matter to you, if you want to dive into things that feel like they are of more value than this modern day civilization, busy paced life can offer you, like you just know in your spirit, in your heart, in your being, there's something more. Hopefully this is a place where you can feel embraced and supported and a little less alone. So where to start? I told you a little bit about where I'm at right now. And I think, obviously throughout the show and over time, there will be more that comes to light about my life and my journey and how I got here and my focuses and priorities. But to backtrack, I think let's start with a little bit about who I am and who I've been. So where I'm at now, I'm about to turn 29, almost 30. So excited. My 20s have been excruciatingly difficult years of self-discovery, growth, and becoming. And my journey, it kind of started when I was 18. I decided to move away from home. I had this lifelong dream of being a whitewater river rafting guide. So I finished up high school as quickly as I could. I bounced and I went down to Moab, Utah, where I spent the next 3 years seasonally being a river rafting guide. I worked retail jobs. Truly, I just did anything and everything that I could do to try to make some money to put myself through college. And I had the time of my life doing this job. It was the most like free-spirited, beautiful, like you're just outdoors in nature every single day with red rocks surrounding you. And Moab is a special place. If you can tap in, like there is this beautiful energy there. Mostly this beautiful like playfulness. Like that was a place that really nurtured, I want to play. I want to be on adventures. I was out hiking all the time. I was jumping off of like these red cliff rocks into lakes and rivers and ponds. And we would just play all day, every day in the rapids. Or you would go down the rapids at midnight under a full moon, just butt naked with like your best friends. And it really did something for this part of me that has always felt this call to just be like grounded in nature and this playfulness, like being free spirited. And that was an amazing life. It really was like a lifetime ago. And during that time, my second year of being out there, I met somebody who I ended up marrying. And I was 19 when we got married. And the relationship had so many ups and downs. And I would love to cover, more topics about divorce and heartbreak and changing and growing apart in a relationship over time, because I've experienced that. But we stayed together for almost 3 years, about 2.5 years. We got married when I was 19. He was about 24. And by the time I got to be 22, I realized my marriage was coming to an end. And that was kind of like the first doozy of, oh my gosh, like reset. We're back at square one. Who even am I? And this has happened so many times throughout my life, but like this was the first adult doozy where you look around and you're just like, well, now what? So that's where kind of more of like today comes into play with the life I've been living for the last 6 years. I turned 22. I get divorced, not of my choosing. I'm like white knuckling this relationship that I want so badly to work out. I had told myself I will never go through a divorce. And there was a lot of pain from like my own childhood and upbringing where my parents got divorced when I was 14. And I had made myself this promise, like marriage is this one and done deal for me. So as you can imagine, when my first marriage ends in a divorce after not too long, I truly felt like life was over. Like I remember thinking like, this hurts so badly. I don't know how to get through this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to like survive this heartbreak. Like it wasn't fun, but it was necessary. And I look back so grateful for that life. And like, that seems to be a pattern as well, that like every time I look back in the rearview mirror, like why did those things happen? The most devastating, heartbreaking, life-shattering, plan-shattering things. Now I can look back and it is so clear. The reason that happened, the timing of when it happened, the helpers that came in along the way, the teachers, the abusers, like everything happens in our life. And when you can just trust whatever it is that you believe in, God, fate, your journey, the universe. For me, God, I look back and I'm like, these were God moments. Like this was so meant to be. And it's magic when you look back and see that unfolding of your own journey and becoming and self-discovery. Like you try to take that knowledge of like, I know this is for my best good. Like I know this is for who I'm supposed to be. And like transport that into here and now when you're going through something difficult, to remind yourself like this right now, the pain right now, the excruciating moments right now, the confusion, the indecisiveness, the difficulty, it's for the greater good. Like it's leading you somewhere. It will be propelling you forward. It will be the thing contributing to who you're supposed to be. It's just harder when that's like in current time, you know? So let's again rewind to being 22. I get divorced. I think life is over. My life had just begun. You guys, that's what's so crazy. If I could go back and write her a love letter, it's like, hold the phone and chill. You're 22. Your life, your good life, the fun life, like it's literally just starting when you were at that age. But it felt like it was ending. I get divorced. I swear off of men. I'm like, okay, we learn throughout our life, if there's a hot stove, you put your hand on it, it burns, you're not going to touch it again. I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel about marriage and men and dating, this whole thing. I am on pause, like a hardcore pause. And I am, at the time, I am working 5 jobs. I wish I was exaggerating. I was literally working 5 jobs to try to put my first husband through school. I had an Etsy shop. I was a Beachbody coach. I was a blogger and like this freelance writer. And then I worked at these 2 wellness places. I worked in a relaxation center and I worked for a naturopathic doctor. And long story short, I felt super driven to just like really put some blinders on and focus for a while on these careers in wellness. It's what I felt so drawn to. My whole life I have felt drawn to this whole being wellness. Like I think people hear the word wellness and you instantly visualize like, oh, go work out and do some stretching, and what pre-workout are we all taking, and just wellness, wellness, like taking good care of yourself so you can be well. Wellness has been so much more for me throughout my life. It's been this like mind, body, spirit nurturing, and your higher self, your inner child healing, where you're going, where you come from. Like it's linking hands with all of these different things and saying like, overall in this well-rounded way, are you good? Are you good? Like emotionally, are your needs being met? Physically, are you taking care of yourself? Do you have good, fulfilling relationships in your life that help you feel supported? And this whole God thing, like, what do you believe there? It's okay to believe a million different things. But like wellness is just getting in touch with like this bigger than us power that is around us and within us and connects all of us, and kind of in between realms, right? Like this spiritual realm that is above or below or beyond what we know and remember and can see here and now, but then also integrating the here and now. And I knew like this metaphysical, spiritual well-being, wellness industry. I mean, I can't get enough. Like it's been this thing I've been seeking out my entire life since I was 14 is when I remember it really, really starting. And I thought, that's what I'm going to go into. Like maybe I'll go back to school. Maybe I'll go get a degree and I will probably work in these jobs forever. Like I would love to do something like this someday, have my own place of healing. And my plan didn't work out. I told myself I'm going to dive into that for the next 5 years. Like 27, that sounds like a good age and a time to reset this whole dating, relationship, love, all of this complicated stuff that had just now created the most excruciating heartbreak that I had ever experienced. And that is saying something. Like I've had many journeys of heartbreak and reset and pain and overcoming, but this one was unmatched in severity. And I am living this life. I live in this 400 square foot studio apartment. There's like 5 space heaters to try to warm this place. I'm living in Idaho Falls, Idaho. It is freezing. It is like -25 every single day when I go out of my apartment. And I'm trying to pay my bills. And I have this tiny little dog. His name is Whisper. He's this little mini schnauzer that I saved a couple of years before. And my first husband, he leaves and our marriage is over. And I'm looking around and it's just me and Whisper and my 400 square foot apartment and these jobs, these 5 stupid jobs. And I'm alone. I'm completely alone in this state that I had moved to put my first husband through school. A place where I have no one and nothing, just my jobs and my coworkers. And this is my little tribe. These are the people like holding my hands and cheering me along the way. And gosh, like they were so there for me throughout this process of going through my divorce and kind of this new reclamation of like, who do I want to be? Who am I becoming? This is a weird chapter too. Like as I am 22, it's the year 2016. I had gotten married for the first time in 2014. Back when like marriage and dating and courtship, like it all still seemed classy. And then there's this gap of time where I'm a married woman from 2014 to 2015 and 2016. And then I get divorced in 2016 and I have to step back into the world of dating and like, oh my word. Everybody can have their own experiences, but let me tell you what my experience was. Dating went from being this like beautiful, timeless, chivalrous thing into like trashy, raunchy, disgusting, hook up, Netflix and chill type of culture. The dating culture completely revamped. And in 2016, I want nothing to do with it. Truly. I want truly nothing to do with it. I'm going to my places of work. I'm working beyond full time. And I'm sharing so much of like my journey of divorce and healing and, you know, re-identifying with the people that I work with because they are my cheerleaders. They are my support system and the only one at that. So I work in these places where we are doing energy work and healing and vitamins and supplements and acupuncture and all these things for all these people with all these ailments. And for me, it was so interesting because my ailments were not physical. They were all emotional. But every day after work, I would beg the doctors or my coworkers, like, who can stay and do energy work with me today? There is so much I'm needing to clear out. Like, I do not want to be stuck and frozen forever with this heartbreak. And truly, I think I probably did like 200 hours worth of energy work within the first 3 months of being divorced because I knew what it felt like to carry pain for a lifetime. And still, even still, then and now, I carry so much pain of my parents' divorce and the past lives that I've had and the past trauma that I've had. And I knew with my own divorce, with as heavy as it was, as heartbreaking as it was, I didn't want to carry it for a lifetime. So I swore to myself, like, I'm going to put in the work to clear as much of this out of my system as I can. And I'm doing endless amounts of foot zoning, energy work, cranial sacral therapy, massage healing, like so many different modalities to just try, like, to have my best shot at a clean slate. Where does my life go from here? Because life, as I expected, was ripped out from underneath me. So I'm in my places of work. I'm extremely close to, like, the owners of the companies I work for, my bosses, my coworkers. And they all start telling me, Tiff, like, you just need to get back out there. You just need to start dating. Like, go on some dates. Go talk to people. And I'm like, you don't understand. I want nothing to do with that anytime soon. But they just tell me, like, what's the harm? Like, what if you found some really good friendships? What if you just found some really good people? And I'm like, you know what? That actually sounds amazing. Like, we are just getting ready to come into the summer months. And what could be so harmless with the stage of life that harmful? What could be so harmful about the stage of life that I'm in? Just having some really down to earth, good, like-minded people to hang out with this summer. So I get on a dating website. I get on the worst one too, you guys. I get on Tinder. It's terrible. Like, it is window shopping for pretty people. It's how it felt. Like, go through, and how shallow are we that, like, you know nothing about these people. You're having no conversations. You don't even know the sound of their voice. You feel zero chemistry in the room with them, but you're just swiping through their faces and, like, how do they look? Like, something in my spirit died signing up for Tinder, but I did it. My coworkers told me I should, and I did it. I get on. I'm on it for like 3 or 4 days. It's terrible. It's this terrible, everything that you would expect it to be. The messages that I'm getting, the type of people who are trying to connect with me, it is very much this, like, Netflix and chill environment of shallow and just everything that I'm not about. Like, I need this soul to soul connection. I need depth. I need chemistry. I need my knowing to, like, tell me, when there's a person I'm supposed to connect with. And you can't do any of that through this app, but I give it my best fair shot. I go on a couple of dates. I have all these terrible messages I get to respond to. Half of them I ignore. And during this stage of life, of course, all of my loved ones are so concerned about me. Like, hey, Tiff, in a random state with no family, no support system around. By the way, like, you just got divorced. By the way, you're not responding to any of our messages, our phone calls, anything when we reach out. How are you? Are you alive? How can we show up for you? Like, bless all of my loved ones. And I have to tell you, I do have this toxic trait when I am in the middle of going through the depths of my own, like, struggles, or I'm trying to heal, or I am revamping my life. I have this tendency to go very quiet, and I isolate, and I block out the world, and I block out distractions, and I kind of just, I don't know, I do like the thing where you put blinders on a horse so that they just, like, go where they're supposed to go and they don't get distracted. Like, that's me. I just put on the blinders and I shut everybody and everything out, and I'm not proud of it. And maybe someday it'll improve, but during this time of going through my divorce, like, I really, really put on those blinders. And, I've got my dad's trying to check in on me, people that love me back at home, all of my family in Orem, Utah, friends from high school, ex-boyfriends, the ex-boyfriends. I could have done without that part, but so many people trying to access me. And I just don't have it in me right now to be open to any of it. So I'm working my jobs. I'm trying the Tinder thing, whatever. I log off of Tinder. I delete the app. Well, that's where my now husband, Casey, comes into the picture. He gets onto this dating app. He has also gone through his own journey of going through a divorce. And the girl that he's been with has been since they were 13 or 14 years old. And he is 29 at that time. And they had been married for 7 years and they had 3 babies, 3 beautiful little kids, and their babies are young. And they go through a really, really hard divorce, and it takes months and months and months. And my husband at the time, he was not my husband, Casey. He feels very strongly led of like, I just need to focus on my current family and trying to help this work out. And I'm not even going to like mentally go there of like, well, if this doesn't work out, or would I get back into dating? Would I get remarried? Who would I talk to? Like, he has his blinders on too. Well, his marriage doesn't work out. His marriage ends. My marriage ends. They end around the same time. He gets on Tinder. I get on Tinder. Let's be honest, Casey gets on every single dating website known to mankind because he is an all-in type of guy. So he gets on everything, premium, platinum accounts, like the upgraded, pay for it type of version. He gets on Tinder. He's scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, right? Like the stupid thing that we all do, just flipping through all these countless pictures and profiles. And he'll have to tell his own side of the story sometime. But in his words, he finds my picture and he stops and he freezes. And he has this knowing moment. Like his intuition, everything in him says, freeze. Like, don't lose her. That is your wife. She's supposed to be your wife. You're supposed to marry her. So he freezes and he super likes me and he like tries to connect with me. But my Tinder account at this point is dead. It is long gone. I am never going back to it. I will never go back. I get off of it. I go back to living my life. I go on a few dates. It's just not feeling like my jam. So I'm like, that's okay. You know, I gave it some effort, whatever. Well, Casey, everything in him knew he needed to like fiercely pursue me because his knowing tells him that we're going to get married. It's crazy. It sounds crazy. And if you haven't experienced a love story like this, it sounds crazy. But if you have, if you know, you know. Like when people just say, I knew they were the one, it was this like love at first sight thing. Like I can't explain it. It just happened. But he finds me. He relentlessly starts searching like all social media platforms trying to find Tiffany, spelled Tiffanie, because my name is spelled differently than most Tiffany's. And he finally finds my Tinder pictures that match on Facebook. He finds my Facebook profile. He starts to message me and I'll share more over time, but the rest is history. He finds me. We have a few phone calls. My knowing tells me he's your husband. And it's before we've even met. Like, it's crazy. We start talking, and along this same time, I am deciding, you know, it's time for me to just level up. It's time for me to let go of the past Tiffany that I thought I was going to be, what my life was going to look like in this first marriage with my first husband. And I have to let go of all of it. And it hurts so bad. I think I'm going to die. But credit to like working in these places of wellness with all of these cheerleaders around me, these doctors and these healers and these coworkers and these people who truly started to love me like family. I put on my big girl pants and I'm like, okay, it's just time, right? And I have this amazing experience where there's this full moon and this summer solstice that happened to happen in the same night. And with some of the spiritual beliefs that I've taken up throughout my lifetime, I've really loved this habit of setting goals and intentions with like the moon cycle. And I'll get more into it. And over time, I'd love to have guests on the show who can enlighten you guys with fancier words and better explanations than I can give you of these different spiritual teachings that have truly transformed and helped a lot of different things in my life. But the idea behind it is the moon, the lunar phases are controlled by the tides of the ocean, right? Water. And we are made up of so much water that if we can also set goals or intentions within the lunar phases, like our being tied into the lunar phases can be such a powerful combination to propel you towards the things that are important to you in your life. So there's this super important like moon happening. And I decide I'm going to call in some of my friends and all of these healers and coworkers that I am super close in quarters with at that time. And let's just have a bonfire. Let's get together. Let's have like this little moon ceremony. And I know that sounds kind of woo-woo to anybody who's not familiar with this type of thing, but for me, it was just like a very beautiful way of setting goals and intentions with the people who helped me feel supported. So we get together, we have this bonfire, and this was a huge night in a turning chapter for me of becoming the person I am now. So I sit down, and by the light of the full moon, I write out this list. And it's a list that I intend on burning, and it's a list that I do burn, of who Tiffany had become during my first marriage, during those formative years of being 18 and 19 and 20 and 21 and 22. Like, what was I carrying that was no longer serving me? What belief system was I living by that maybe it was time to like expand that? And who had I become in a marriage that started off beautiful and magical, full of butterflies and love and respect, but then somewhere along the way it changed and soured and went south and became painful and became stagnant. Who had I become in that relationship? And what was I carrying that maybe wasn't even mine to begin with? What was I carrying that maybe came from my upbringing or my parents or my family of origin or my ex-husband's? What was his to carry that I could just like get off of my shoulders and hand back and say, like, you take ownership for this. This isn't mine. I sat and I wrote all the things that it was just time to like let go of. And I burned this list in the fire, just this representation that it's time to clear it out. Just let it go. Like it really can be that easy. Every minute of our life, like we have the choice to decide, what are we sitting here like grasping so tightly and white knuckling of just, I don't want to let go of it. This is the way I've always done it. This helps me feel comfortable, or this is the way somebody told me I should do it, right? Like there's this people pleaser in us that wants to just do it the way everybody else thinks we should do it. Or there's this generation above us that they have such loyalty towards living in one house and paying off one mortgage for their whole life and working this 9-to-5 job their entire life. And that is enough for their existence. That's what they've been told will bring happiness, this traditional live and love and work this way. But I feel like this generation, all of us in our 20s and 30s now, it's like there's a shift that's happening. We're realizing if you're not happy, you can change it. If this isn't working for you, you can try something else. Like nothing is permanent, and every minute of your life is a chance to try something new or let go of something that's not serving you. And I just decide right then and there, it's time to revamp. So I sit and I pull out this new piece of paper and I write out, what are all the things that I do know about myself? Like what truly at the core of who I am? Who am I? What is Tiff all about? Like little things like ice cream flavors that I've loved those for my whole life, or my favorite childhood movies, or no, just at the core, like I've always been this person who just, I can talk and I can share and I can be vulnerable and I'm not afraid to admit failure. Like I write and I write, who do I want to be? And who am I if I get rid of all of the fluff? And I also write a future partner. What type of stuff do I want to attract in a future partner? Like who is he at the core of who he might be? Like his character, his traits, his belief system. Like what do I feel like I naturally gravitate towards? And in my next partnership, let's be a little more decisive to really get into the weeds on, is this sustainable? Like a forever type of love and connection and chemistry, because a divorce is painful. So I have this super important night, and Casey and I have been talking, and I decide I want to share it with him. I call him after this like moon ceremony, and long story for another time, but I share with him, tonight just feels like a total clean slate. Like it's just time to start over. And because we've started talking, I obviously didn't tell him. I had this gut feeling like he was going to be my next husband. Next as in a casual, like they just come and go. Unfortunately, in my experiences, there have been multiple, but it's all been for a reason. So he's going to be my next husband. I just know this. And he says how amazing and beautiful. Like everything that you could share with me about what you're feeling tonight and who you're wanting to be and what you're striving for. And he said, do you mind if I just kind of start this journey with you? Tonight would have been something really symbolic for me. Tonight would have been my 7th wedding anniversary with my ex-wife if I hadn't gone through a divorce. And tonight feels like a very fitting night to just also join you in starting fresh and starting over. So even though this is a solo podcast and this is my first episode, I have to give you the context in saying my life since that point, from 22 to 28, has very much been me on an individual journey, but also me and him resetting, starting a life over. I've learned that there is life and love to be found after a divorce, after the excruciating, heart-breaking, life plan crushing experience of divorce. There's a life on the other side of that, and it has been more beautiful and also heartbreaking and hard and demanding in a way that I wouldn't have anticipated. Finding my happily ever after, finding my soulmate. I truly believe that I started a life with my soulmate, a person that I knew in a life before now, and he has given me these beautiful wings to grow. He, more than giving me wings to grow, he's given me the support and the little nudge that I've needed of like, Tiff, go, shine, share, fly. Like, you have these gifts, you have these things that you are supposed to offer to the world around you. And truly, if it wasn't for me joining in this type of partnership, where I've spent the last 6 years gaining the confidence and experiences in marriage and motherhood and being a wife and all of these things, I don't know that I would be sitting here ready to share. So I do have to credit my second shot at life. Like, I'm so grateful for. I feel like I hit the jackpot. I never would have chosen this life. I didn't even know about this life. I didn't know about what my life could look like being happily married to my soulmate and being this empowered woman who's ready to shine and share and inspire other people to do the same. My life would have gone so differently, but somebody looking out for me. And truly, the teacher of my ex-husband, he was a teacher in my journey. I'm so grateful he let me go. I'm so grateful he set me free from a life that I would have had so that I could be here and now. So here and now, I'm everything. And I also realize I'm nothing. And maybe let's dumb it down to where it's not like these spiritual woo-woo words. I am every possible role that I can imagine. I am a wife. I am a friend. I am a sister. I am a mother. I am a stepmother. I feel like the mother of all. Anybody in my sphere, anybody in my circle, anybody in the grocery store around me, there's this internal like mother in me that just wants to make sure everybody's okay and nurtured and held and loved and cared for. And I can't help it. I can't shut this like mother up in me. I just want to like love everybody. And then there's this part of me that has transformed so much over the years to where I realize I know nothing. Like, I know like a centimeter of what I'm supposed to learn throughout my lifetime and who I'm supposed to become. And even though I do feel like I'm living in a very true to my highest self type of version of me right now, I still only know like the tiniest amount. And I marry my husband when I am 22, almost 23. He happens to be a father. I never thought I would marry a father. I like to say he came as a buy one, get three free type of deal. It was like a really good like clearance deal. At the time when we got married, he had a 3.5-year-old son and 2 daughters, ages 1.5 and 8 months old. So I jumped into this like baptism by fire situation where I became this instant mother, but not a mother because I'm a stepmother. I'm a bonus mother. I don't have my own kids. I've never been a mother before. I was a nanny growing up. I babysat everybody's children, but like it's a whole new deal when you are parenting. So I dive into this new life of instant parenting. And sometimes the kids are with us, and other times the kids are with their mom, who happens to live 10 minutes away from us. And we all get to share this area. And I quit my jobs in wellness, the career that I thought I would have. My knowing tells me it's Casey. You're supposed to marry him. And because he's a father, that comes with some, fine print writing of logistics, like where his kids live, and I get to move and I get to quit my jobs and pack up my whole life. And instead of being this businesswoman who has been working 5 different jobs just to freaking put food on the table, now I'm suddenly the one cleaning the table and changing diapers, and I've got 3 little kids, and I feel like I have triplets. But because I'm a stepmom, a bonus mom, it's a very different initiation process into parenting. There are no baby showers, and there is nobody calling you up saying, here's how you, cure like a really bad diaper rash, or your toddler's not eating. Here's maybe some hacks to try. It's just me and my husband, Casey. And there's silence. There's not a lot of support. There's nobody stepping in saying, here's like tips and tricks, and here's how you do this. So I'm just figuring it out and winging it and doing my best and listening to my intuition. Gosh, it was a learning curve. Gosh, it was so painful. But somehow we get through it. And my little teeny tiny step babies, they start growing bigger and cuter. And I'm gaining this confidence, and I'm figuring it out. And I reach a point where I'm actually taking a lot of pride in like how much I did just kind of figure this out on my own, and it's going well. Well, Casey and I decide, a year into being married, maybe we want to start trying for our own baby. And I get pregnant really quickly. And before I get pregnant, I decide, I'm going to be like this stepmom, this bonus mom, but I also want to have something on the side that's just kind of me. Like, what do I feel called to do? And it was yoga. I really felt called to yoga. So I dive into this like 200-hour hot yoga teacher training. It's the most amazing experience of my life. And as soon as it's over, and as soon as I get like qualified to be this hot yoga teacher, I start having these weird cravings. And I start getting goosebumps all the time. I start having all these weird symptoms that I like just normally don't deal with. And Casey says to me one day, we're sitting down watching a show, and I remember saying like, do we have any salt and vinegar chips? And he's saying like, what are you talking about? So random. I just said, I don't know. I just suddenly really need some vinegar. And he looks at me and he goes, are you pregnant? I said, absolutely not. Like I had just had my cycles not too long ago, the month before. There's no way I'm pregnant. Well, sure enough, I take a pregnancy test and I'm pregnant. And this time it's with my baby, a baby of my own. Like, this is the moment that I've dreamed of, because for a year and a half, I've been pouring and pouring and pouring every bit of my being into my 3 little kids, who also are not my kids. They are my step babies, my step kids, and it's just a whole different thing knowing that now me and my partner, we will have a baby of our own. So fast forward a couple of years. Within 4 years, we have 3 babies together. So at this point, I've got 6 kids under my roof, and they are 9, 7, 6, 4, 2.5, and 9 months old. And it's just wild because I am the only person in my circles that I know of with an experience like this, like stepmotherhood. For one, I don't have a lot of friends and people in my corner. I'm so grateful for like friends online, social media, like Instagram, or these like stepmom groups that I found over the years. But I don't know anybody who has like lived my life journey of, I got married and I was a whitewater river rafting guide and I dive into wellness, and then I get married so young, like all the Mormons do, and I think it's going to be forever. Of course it's going to be forever. I promised myself it will. And then I end up divorced, and then I get remarried. And I swore I wouldn't get remarried that quickly, but here I am. And now I get to have these 3 kids. And then additionally, we have 3 kids. And now it's like a partridge and a pear tree. And what else can we throw onto the mix? In the last few years, we've added a business. We do proper property management, Airbnb rentals, vacation houses. Like, we've had this husband and wife business start from one little investment property into exploding into over 100 properties that now we manage and run for 1 million different people. And we have vacation rental houses throughout the country that we love to take our family and just go vacation in our spare time that we don't have. And I look around and it's so interesting because the contrast of where I've been and what's happened over the years, motherhood, hormones, babies, all of it. I mean, I'm still sitting here just trying to like process what my life has been. But I do know there hasn't been a single mistake in my journey. And all of it has contributed into leading me exactly where I'm supposed to be. And during every single chapter, teachers and friends and people come in along the journey that I know without a shadow of a doubt, like they were supposed to be there. So that leads us here to the show. If that wasn't the longest intro ever, I don't know what would be. But I've never received the compliment in my life that I am short-winded. So buckle up. Each week, I hope to be sharing content with you that helps you feel a little more secure in your human experience. Because personally, I love to talk about the nitty-gritty, scary, vulnerable stuff that people seem to carry like apprehension or shame around. And I just would love to get into all of it, anything that makes us human. So I can tell you things will be all over the place. I will just be sharing from past lives, present lives. In the future, I'm sure there will be more things to come I will be sharing about. Here and now, what I feel adequate to share with you is about the beautiful sacred journey of motherhood, the exhaustion of motherhood, the duality of like loving something that fills you up at the same time that it depletes you of everything that you are. And babies, pregnancy, birth, home birth. I've gotten to have 2 amazing home births, and I'm such an advocate for women and birth and the whole process. And I've also had 1 hospital birth with my first baby. And stepmotherhood, it is the roughest hood you could walk through, and I would love to lead you along the journey if there's something that I could share to help other people with blended family life dynamics, navigating being a stepmom, a bonus parent, keeping a marriage strong as you do that. I've learned a lot by trial and error over the years with that one. And then marriage, beautiful marriage. I'm such a huge believer that marriage refines us in such a like humorous way. Like it's like the ultimate refiner of how you're like such a beautiful, amazing person, and then you're also like such a pain in the ass. And because I know what it feels like to have a marriage fall apart and crumble, I feel ultra dedicated and motivated to work like diligently and constantly at keeping a marriage strong and making it strong and knowing yourself as a person, loving yourself as a person first before you can ever expect another person to love you and respect you. If you don't do those things for yourself first, I mean, you're going to have like some speed bumps and some rocky roads along the way. So marriage, motherhood, adult friendship is something I feel like I've really had some learning journeys with, and inner childhood healing, inner child work. I've been in therapy for 15 years. Maybe there's a reason I love to talk. I have done talk therapy for 15 years on and off over the years, trying to process and learn and recover and heal and grow. And in another life, I would love to be a therapist, but here I would love to just be Tiff and share with you more about the journey. And a big part of that is, at the same time, I'd love for there to be this understanding that I think people along our lives, like along the journey of our lives, we look to people and we gravitate towards people who you see something in them that reminds you of something in you. Like if I can talk vulnerably and that strikes a chord for you, it's because there's a part of you that like wants to speak vulnerably, or there is this gift that you have that does speak vulnerably, or that could, if you dive into that. So I would love to be an inspiration and a mirror for anything in me or in my millions of lives and experiences that could tap into something deep within you that can help you show up as a better, higher, more equipped version of yourself to go on your own journey. And even if our journeys look so differently, a lesson that I learned throughout my divorce is love is why we are here. Love, like this soul to soul connection, this bigger love, this like godly love, like it's this very real part of being alive. You know, when like a new baby comes into the world and people pull together to just serve and love and support, like that's this bigger love. Or when somebody is on their way out and there's a funeral and the service and the love and the remembrance, like there's this love that you tap into about like what just like one human life means and represents. And when somebody that you love comes into town to visit and then they leave after you've had an amazing week together and you physically feel the ache of like they have left, there's all of these moments that remind you like we are so much more connected than we think we are. And for me, the way I tap into this like loving existence is this soul to soul connection and sharing. And I don't know a different way. I don't know how else to connect with people. So I'm here to connect with you. I'm here to share all things about life and love and hurt and heartache and growth and becoming and stripping down the layers and crying and laughing. I would love if you just jump into my circle. It's an open invitation. Anybody's welcome. I would love to be a teacher along the journey, and I equally believe you can be a teacher along my journey. Like there's no wiser teacher or, you know, person who knows more. We're all just students. Like it never ends. It doesn't matter if you're 90 or if you're 2. We're all here to like learn and become. So pull up a seat. I just get the visual back in Hawaii, like my girlfriends. Let me sit here and I'll just use my hands. I'll talk to you and talk your ear off for an hour and pull up the chips and salsa, or grab a basket of laundry and join me as we just navigate into the messy but beautiful sacred things that give you the sum of a beautiful, intentional life lived. And I'm here to be a mirror. Like this is my time to share and come back to life. This light, this being within me, these gifts that I have, this inner radiance and sunshine that I possess. Like sunshine, it is my time. But also for you. Everything could be said the same about you. This inner radiance that you have, these gifts that you have, these things that you're just ready to share and do and become. Sunshine, it is your time. It's your time too. And I'd love to do the journey together. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'm excited for more to come. Thank you so much for joining me today on another episode of the Sunshine It's Your Time podcast. I love connecting heart to heart, and I'm so grateful that you would spend your time connecting heart to heart with me. I hope today's episode left you feeling a little bit more light or inspired. And if there's anybody that you know that could benefit from today's episode, please go ahead and share it with them. You can find me on anywhere that you listen to your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, or iTunes, and your reviews and ratings of my show mean the world to me. If you want to connect further, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Tiffany_Michelle. That's TIFFANIE_Michelle with 1 L. Thanks so much.